Well, hello there, it's Beards and Bangers, and you join me on potentially what is the wettest day of the year, because I'm going up north to collect some tyres. I'm going to meet my old mate Simon from Smashing Pistons, and Matt, the artist known as Longman sometimes. But yeah, I'm doing a bit of an experiment today, because today I'm in Huzzly, so we'll have a little look at what's happened to Huzzly, and then we'll jump in the car and I'll explain what I'm doing.
Welcome to Beards and Bangers.
So as you can see, Huzzly Bear has got the apex wheels from my MG ZT260 on him. Now it's not just the wheels, I've also taken the tyres as well. So it's the Goodyear Eagle F1, so very, very good tyres. And they've now been put on Huzzly because this is a car that I'm keeping, and I'm rather pleased with these wheels. But it got me thinking, so I'm going to jump in the car because I'm getting quite wet, and we'll have a drive up the road to Yorkshire and I'll explain what I'm doing. So normally I drive Huzzly with a very heavy right foot, mainly to get into that kind of 4,000 RPM power band where the variable length inlet manifold opens up and delivers that lovely smooth torque curve. But doing a bit of a road trip today, Streetwise is parked up because next week's going to have some work done, so there'll be some more on that series on the Streetwise very soon, you'll be pleased to hear. What I'm doing today is I'm actually doing a bit of an experiment. So I brimmed the tank of Huzzly this morning. Now I don't buy E10, so the cheaper fuel, I tend to go for the E5. Better performance, I just trust it more. I never buy supermarket fuel. I'll always buy BP, Shell or Esso, generally. So I brimmed it. I've not taken Huzzly above 3,000 revs, apart from when I'm cruising at 70, because Huzzly cruises at just a whisper over 3,000 revs at 70 miles an hour. So far I am 136 miles in to my journey today, so my round trip's about 400 miles, and I'm looking to see how much economy I can get. So I've actually recorded the mileage when I filled up. I've got a record of how many litres of fuel I put in. So I'm going to be doing that over the course of the next few months to really work out what the MPG is, depending on what the driving style is. So that's what I'm looking at doing. Yeah. So far 137 miles. We've used just over a quarter of a tank. So I've not been gunning it. I've not been going above 70. You know, I've really not revved the car hard at all, which for me is quite a struggle because this car does put its power down really well, and I love you know, driving it in quite a spirited fashion. So we'll get a bit further up the road, and then what we'll do is we'll check back on the return leg and see where we're at in terms of how much fuel left. Am I going to have to fill up again? Will I be able to do a 400-mile round trip without filling up? I'm guessing on this, and I need to look it up, I'm guessing on these cars we've got a probably 70 litre tank, I would say. I'm probably slightly wrong there, but I haven't got the facts and figures in front of me. So let me get up the road and then we'll check back and see how we're doing for fuel a little bit later on today.
You can trust trail finders to take care of all your travel arrangements. Call our experts on 0207 368 the Latter Lane
we are about 2.5 miles from my first destination, so that's collecting some wheels for Penny. I have covered just shy of 177,000 miles. 177,000? No, 177 miles. And I have used 3/8 of a tank of petrol so far, which isn't bad going. So I seem to remember when I went to Cornwall last year, I pretty much wiped out a tank. What's going on here? Pretty much wiped out a tank just getting down to Cornwall. That was 280 miles. So I'm really hoping I can get from here. So I'm going to Sowerby Bridge, which is in West Yorkshire, and I'm hoping to get up to, I think I'm going to Holmfirth to meet Simon and Matt, and then back home. So I'm hoping I can do it all on one tank. I wasn't empty when I filled up, so what we need to remember is I was on 1/4 of a tank when I filled up this morning, so that was 44 litres to fill it up. So we'll do a bit more driving and we'll see how we're going a little bit later on. Right, so I've just grabbed the Addendum wheels from a chap called Andy, who's got a very interesting yard, which I shall show you a little bit of as I'm driving out of here. So I'm now off to meet Simon from Project MGTF, rather. Nope, Smashing Pistons, he's now called. And Stickman, Longman, Matt, call him what you will. So we'll get up there and then we'll have a look at where the fuel is. Right, so we can see we've done 180 miles nearest, damn it, and the fuel gauge is, say, just shy of 3/8 of a tank used. So certainly the best run I've ever done in this car. But we better keep it up because it could easily go wrong if I start getting a bit enthusiastic with my right foot. So we're sort of heading towards Holmfirth. Landscape up here is just so stunning. It's not drop dead pretty because of course this was I believe a mining area, but so you've got these sort of very dark brick cottages, but these valleys are just so impressive. And we're heading to Holmfirth, which of course is where they filmed Last of the Summer Wine, so it's quite a, if you think of that programme, it reminds me of childhood Sunday evenings, Antiques Roadshow, Songs of Praise and Last Summer Wine. Those depressing Sunday afternoons when you live in a village and you know everything's very quiet. Sometimes I wish for those days again because it's so peaceful. But yeah, Last Summer Wine definitely reminds me of those Sunday evenings. Yeah, so yeah, just leaving Sowerby Bridge or the outskirts of Halifax now. About a 40-minute drive to Holmfirth, so be interesting. Obviously we're not going on the motorway this time, so we'll see what this does to the fuel economy. And of course I'm carrying more weight. I've got the alloys in the back, so the car is now heavier than what I started, so we'll see how we get on. Right, bridge coming up. We're going to not worry about fuel economy for a moment because I'm just going to give it some beans through here. I am such a child sometimes. Right, so before we start the journey home, we're on level ground. I thought we'd lost a lot of fuel, but I think the tanks on these are like a saddle shape. So if you have been facing downhill or uphill, it can affect where the fuel needle is, particularly on the ZTs and the 75s. It's quite a common thing that I read. Yeah, so we've done 197.1 miles. We're now about to do the drive home. We've got we've used just over 3/8 of a tank. So probably 2/3 of a tank, would you say, roughly? Get you close up so you can see. Yeah, so I'd say we're about about a third of a tank used. So we've got, I'm gonna put you on sat nav in a sec and get the camera up on the side window, then I can talk to you a bit more. Right, so I've got a 157 mile drive home. I'm not going to exceed. I'm going to try not to exceed 3,000 RPM accelerating. So I've got a bit slightly shorter drive home because I've come south to Holmfirth with Matt and Simon. I have been to Holmfirth before, but I've got no idea how I got here. But of course we're carrying more weight, so I've got the wheels behind me, so the wheels for the streetwise behind, so I'm carrying a bit more weight. But of course I've used about a third of a tank of fuel, so I've lost weight in that way. So we'll see how we get on. Will I have to fill up before I get home? I'm thinking not. So the intention with this video is, or these videos, is going to be a second video, and I'll probably do this drive again at some point because I'll, you know, catch up with Simon and Matt. This is kind of Simon's not local area, but it's reasonably near him. And I'm going to do another drive, exactly the same kind of conditions, full tank of fuel. I've got 2 exhausts in the boot as well, by the way. Not that I've picked up, so they've just been sitting in the boot. So I've got a bit of weight in, so we'll try and do it equally with weight, but I'll do another drive up to a similar kind of distance, but I'll be a bit more spirited with the driving, shall we say, and we'll see what the difference is. So I'm going to work out the MPG for this drive, not in this video, it'll be in the next one, and we'll then work out the MPG for the spirited drive and just see where these are at, because I think the quoted figure's around 29 MPG as an average. I certainly have never felt like I've got anywhere near that, but we'll see, and hopefully you find this interesting if you're a KV6 driving person. I'll get down the road and we'll check back in before we get too far south. Right, so I'm just checking in with you. I'm about halfway through the journey home. The stats so far are we have covered 265 miles and I have 3/8 left in my tank, so 3/8 of the tank of petrol left. So I've got about 80 miles to get home. I filled the car up at 1/4 of a tank, so I'm going to check back in with you when I'm at 1/4 of a tank, and we'll see how many miles we've got left to go. We'll be able to roughly work out the MPG of this journey, because I know I put 44 litres in, so that's around 10 gallons, not quite, but it's around 10 gallons. So we'll be able to do a very rudimentary calculation as to what the MPG's been so far once we hit 1/4 of a tank. So I'll keep an eye on everything. Got to bear in mind with this drive back, I've been from Holmfirth, I don't actually know how you say it, I'll have to ask Simon. So Holmfirth to the M1 is quite up and down. It's you're in the Pennines, you're coming up off the Pennines basically, so it's quite up and down, so it's hard work for the car. Stuck in traffic just south of Sheffield by Meadow Hall actually. So yeah, so that's obviously not, those 2 factors are not going to help our MPG. I am being good, I've not put my foot down, I've not gone above 3,000 revs. So I'm doing my best to be very light with my right foot, both on the accelerator and the brake. So we'll get a bit further down the road. I will check back in with you in a minute when we've hit 1/4 of a tank, and we'll see how many miles we've covered on that. Alright. Right, so as promised, I'm letting you know when I've hit 1/4 of a tank. So it's about the level I filled the car up at this morning. Now I don't entirely trust the fuel gauges on ZTs and 75s because, as I said earlier, the shape of the tank is such that if you've cornered quite hard, all the fuel's in the wrong place. So if we are genuinely a quarter of a tank, and if you know, if you believe what I'm saying, 'cause I'm not going to show you the dials while I'm driving, because that's just dangerous. But yeah, I have done 302.8 miles using 44 litres of fuel. So that gives us an MPG for this particular journey, driving in the style I've already described, nice and smoothly, very light right foot. That gives us an MPG of about 30, which is surprising. So it's interesting with these cars what they actually put out. I'm going to do some more of this. No, I'm not going to do videos on every journey I do and work out the MPG, because you'll all get sick of that. But I will do one where I drive a bit more spiritedly and do a similar journey. So see, you know, just to give it a real good comparison, and I'll report back. But yeah, around 30 MPG for this journey. Not bad at all. Bear in mind, driving around Yorkshire off the motorway, you know, in that kind of Pennine region, it's quite hard on the car. So I think if I was just to go up and down the M1 for 300 miles, we would definitely see a better return. And of course, the other question I'm asking myself is, will I need to fill up again before I get home? So, as I say, about a quarter of a tank left. I'm still going to drive smoothly. I'm not going to suddenly change my driving style just because we've worked out the rough MPG. But I have got 46 miles left to go. The majority of that, so 23 miles of that, is on the motorway. It involves a drive through Milton Keynes. That's lots of round. For those of you who don't know Milton Keynes is a city of roundabouts. So we've got to get round that, and then once we're past Milton Keynes, we've got country roads from there to my house. So whether I'll have to fill up or not, I don't know. We will check back in just a very second. So just got off the motorway at Milton Keynes. That quarter of a tank is still hanging in there, just. So what I'll do is I'm going to get myself home, and then we'll get the camera on the gauges and we'll see where we are. Hopefully I'm not going to have to pull over and fill up. 22 miles home. Fingers crossed. We've now used more than I've put in this morning. This is so geeky doing this, really, isn't it? We're home. We're home. I did not have to go to a fuel station because I've still got just over 1/8 of a tank left. So the fuel light has not come on. And we managed to complete, I don't know how well you can see that because I can't get the camera close enough, but I have done 350 miles today. So I don't know exactly how much fuel I've used on top of what I put in this morning. So I wouldn't want to start guessing what the MPG is. But we've done 350 miles. I think it's the first time I've driven the car that far and not stopped at a fuel station. I'll spin you round to give you my conclusion. Let's turn the lights off so we're not draining the battery. Have I enjoyed driving with a light right foot? Driving my favourite, I'll be honest, this is my favourite of my cars. I love this car. Have I enjoyed driving it with a light right foot? No, because this car really responds. As I've said in loads of videos about the KV6 engine, this car responds when you get it 4,500 revs, and it really opens up. So have I enjoyed saving some money by not driving like that? Yeah, it's good. Obviously the reason for going up north was to get wheels. You can see those there, roughly. To see Simon and Matt. So mission accomplished, I would say. So don't worry, I'm not going to do loads of geeky videos like this about fuel economy, because it's important, but it doesn't merit a series. But I will do another one, just a short one, just to compare and maybe tie it in with something else, so you're not watching the same thing again, because there's nothing worse than being repetitive. But yeah, I will do another video. We'll do another drive where I go up to, say, Simon's, Barnsley area, but be a bit more spirited. You can't be that spirited on the M1 for most of it anyway, because you've got variable speed limit with cameras every so often, and I don't know where all the cameras are. So yeah, so interesting analysis of Huzzly's fuel economy. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already done so, please hit subscribe down there and the bell icon. Please consider joining the channel if you'd like early access to content like this. Make sure you like, make sure you share it with everyone, and I'll see you again very soon on the next episode of Beards and Bangers. Goodbye.